Dean Wilkins, it was an emotional weekend in many ways last week. How have the team dealt with that?
I think the team have dealt with it fine, probably better than what I have, to be fair. It's been an interesting start for us, to be honest with you. You know, we've just had this week has been our first free week, so with the amount of games we've been playing, and you know they're coming thick and fast. It's been challenging in more ways than one. I think you might be alluding to the equaliser from last week. I don't know if people realise, but for a period of time I've done a little bit of work for the Premier League. I think I might have mentioned it before, just as an assessor, for coming from the angle of kind of ex-player, coach, manager, and just trying to give an insight into different sort of nuances within the game, kinds of thing that management team would actually pass on to players, that kind of insight. So I think probably our supporters have seen a degree of frustration from myself personally, which has been really difficult to hide, because I think some of the decisions that we've had against us have actually been acknowledged as being incorrect, and they've actually proved really costly from a points perspective. But also, you know, if I go back to the Wycombe game, you know, it's cost everybody an incredible experience. How it panned out in the end, we would have been away at Tottenham. So, you know, financially it's cost the club a huge amount of money, and it's cost, you know, all the players and staff and fans an incredible experience. So, you know, and then you jump into the next game, and then, you know, we've had an acknowledgement that maybe last week's decision shouldn't have gone the way it did, and I believe that we may have been charged over what happened consequently. So, you know, you're kind of sitting there thinking, well, hang on a minute, there's an acknowledgement that it was incorrect, but we're also being charged as well. So I think the message for us has got to be, we've just got to roll our sleeves up and get through this. You know, we've definitely got to try and find a little bit more consistency from a playing perspective, but obviously we would love to have a little bit more consistency on things that are probably out of our control really as well.
As you said, it's been a good start to the season, but it could have been so much better, and the team are deserving a little bit better, especially after the likes of last Saturday.
Yeah, well that's where I'm coming from. Yeah, so it really has been frustrating. You know, I find it sometimes difficult to hide my emotions because it is an emotional game. But yeah, it could have been different. It's you know, we feel that it's okay, but it could have been different. But now we've got a run of games where we play Saturday, and it's a chance for us to get a little bit more work done on the training ground, be a little bit more specific, a bit more detailed in what we're trying to achieve, both in possession and out of possession, and then take that onto the field as we are for this Saturday, and then the following Saturday as well.
Sutton this weekend, I guess it's probably the least known of all the teams in the league at the moment, and they've not played a great deal either.
No, they're a couple of games behind everybody. But you know, it's a huge challenge for us where we're sitting at the moment. You know, there are certain things that, you know, before the start of the season, we looked at a couple of areas that we felt that if we could improve. I'd say the areas were physically and psychologically. We felt that technically and tactically we were improving, and we will continue to improve on those two aspects. But we felt if we could make some big gains both physically and also psychologically in terms of where we are at the moment, in terms of what you just said about decisions and games not quite going our way, that's challenging for us now. Now, how do we bounce back from that? What kind of energy do we take into the game? Do we continue taking the same messages in terms of what we're trying to do tactically into the game? So that's, you know, that was our challenge from day one, and I don't think it could be any bigger than what it is now with everything that's just gone on in the last few weeks, really.
How much do you rely on the experienced members of the squad in situations like this?
Yeah, obviously a lot of them have seen it and done it. but also it's a challenge for the younger players as well to step up and show their mettle, if you like, and and it's down to us as staff to try and sort of just explain how that can pan out for us in different ways, because I think momentum in games is huge. And again, over the last few games we've had a couple of situations where I think if we take the odd chance here and there, last week we potentially could have gone 2-0 up. We didn't quite take it, so I think we talk a lot about momentum and trying to break momentum if it's going against us, to bring it back on our side. So we've got a few different strategies that we've been trying to work on to do that.
So Sutton is going to be a new ground, but there's going to be a couple of old faces, certainly familiar to many around the club, in Beautyman, of course, and Jason Goodliff.
Yeah, obviously a bit before my time. Having only been here now for not even a year yet. So but there's always that that little bit of extra emotion for those players as well that have played for this club. That's just a natural thing, and players move on and go on to different levels, and but I'm sure for the guys that have worked here at the club with those players, I'm sure it'd be good to see them again and share a few stories before the game.
Good last week to see some game time in Bradbury, and first real chance to have a good look at him as well, I suppose. But all these players coming back now, the squad's starting to take strength.
Yeah, and that's what we've tried to do when we recruited during the summer. We tried to bring a little bit more competition for places, and I think we've now got a squad where every player will expect to play. But then what we're hoping that does then, that raises the level for everybody. Everybody's got to raise their level now, and their level, not just their quality, but the consistency within that as well. So yeah, it's good to see them back, because it's been really challenging for Alex, myself, Mark, all the management team, picking a team, and sometimes you're picking players where you're going to have to sub him. And some games we've got 2 players that we know that aren't going to last the 90 minutes. So straight away in your mind, you kind of use 2 subs before you even step in on the pitch. And then you've got the circumstances of the game, and then you've got the whatever the score is at that time, the changes that if everybody was fit, you'd make different changes at that time. So it has been really challenging.
In terms of that, what's the reason for that? Is that purely because there's no kind of, I say, reserve team? It's not a reserve team, of course, but any games behind closed doors and that sort of thing going on?
No, I think we've had some strange injuries that have occurred throughout pre-season and the early parts, and just when you think you've got somebody back, then somebody, last week before the game, we had to change the subs bench. With Reedy, so it's things like that. You're kind of thinking, Jesus, when is it going to change for us? I think once we get everybody fit, and you can pick a team on merit, and then you can just make substitutions on the what's happening within the game. I think that makes it a lot easier for a management team to actually deal with them.
So how is the squad looking fitness-wise? Any players coming back?
Yeah, again, we this week we had some fitness testing done earlier in the week. So we had some testing done at the start of the season, the very first week of the pre-season, and we've followed that up now with 2 days of testing again. We've not had the results back yet, but we're hoping to see an improvement, and then that in turn should hopefully then help us put together a more bespoke individual development programs physically for the players. That's the plan. That's what we want to try and do. That's the idea of having the testing. So yeah, we're getting there. Players are coming back slowly, and we're getting more minutes on the training ground with those players as well, and in games like you said about Bradbury last week. So yeah.
And looking at the fixture list, it's kind of getting to that stage of the season where everybody's starting to work everybody else out, but looking at the sides you've got coming up, there's some tough fixtures.
Yeah, I mean every game, no game is treated any less than any other game. Teams play different formations, teams have got different strengths, individuals with different strengths and cause you different problems. So, I think the big thing for us is our plan firstly, what we're trying to achieve, whatever the shape is that we're playing against, or whatever the player is that we're playing against. And then after that, then obviously take into account what the opposition can throw at us and how we deal with that then.
Thanks for your time.
No problem.